Her voice was calm but lethal as she listed the harms Republicans have unleashed, the most aggressive attack on working-class families in American history. They want hungry kids to be permanent sicker Americans, permanent homeless veterans, permanent shuttered hospitals, permanent disrupted Social Security benefits, permanent. They sold out constituents for permanent tax breaks for billionaires. As if the revelations about Trump's buried paternity scandal weren't enough, the political arena erupted further when Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett faced off against Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene, MTG, in a congressional hearing that turned into a national spectacle. The House Oversight Committee, already a pressure cooker after Crockett's explosive documents on Barron Trump's paternity, became a battlefield over policy and personal attacks. What unfolded wasn't just a debate, it was a public dismantling, exposing the widening cracks in the MAGA machine, with Crockett wielding precision and Greene flailing under the spotlight. The hearing, initially focused on budget cuts tied to the controversial DOGE initiative, rumored to be influenced by Elon Musk, quickly derailed. Crockett, unflinching after her earlier bombshell, used her time to deliver a scathing indictment of Republican policies. Her voice was calm but lethal as she listed the harms Republicans have unleashed, the most aggressive attack on working-class families in American history. They want hungry kids to be permanent sicker Americans, permanent homeless veterans, permanent shuttered hospitals, permanent disrupted Social Security benefits, permanent. They sold out constituents for permanent tax breaks for billionaires. The room shifted uncomfortably. MTG, usually the loudest voice, squirmed in her seat as Crockett continued relentless. Helpful or harmful, stripping healthcare from 16 million, harmful. Laying off federal workers, harmful. Cutting SNAP benefits, NIH, EPA, HUD, FDA, harmful. This isn't reducing waste, it's reducing people. Greene, visibly rattled, tried to regain control as chairwoman, interrupting with procedural objections. "Madam Chair, right now it's not your time," Crockett's ally Rep. Stanberry interjected, only to be shot down by Greene. "I'm the chair of this committee. That's not how procedure works. You're not recognized." But her authority was slipping. The more she pushed, the more obvious it became she wasn't steering the room. She was losing it. Crockett, seizing the moment, pressed on, calling out the hypocrisy of fiscal responsibility while bombs dropped in Iran without congressional approval. While they talk efficiency, that first day of strikes turned into a very expensive lie on the national credit card she sliced. Greene's interruptions grew frantic, her gavel banging like a distress signal. Then it got personal. Greene, desperate to derail Crockett's momentum, fired a low blow. "I don't think you know what you're here for. I think your fake eyelashes are messing up your—" The room gasped as order dissolved. Crockett didn't flinch. With surgical poise, she turned the insult into a mirror. "I'm just curious to better understand your ruling. If someone on this committee starts talking about somebody's bleach-blonde, bad-built butch body, that would not be engaging in personalities, correct?" The chamber froze. It wasn't just a clapback. It was a masterclass in exposing absurdity. Laughter rippled, then silence. Greene, red-faced, couldn't recover. The hearing wasn't just off the rails, it was in another zip code. Crockett didn't just regain the floor, she owned it. The moment went viral within minutes. TikTok clips racked up millions of views captioned "Crockett Cooks," "MTG," and "Bleach Blonde Burn." X exploded with memes, one overlaying Crockett's words with a knockout punch sound effect. Late-night hosts pounced. Jimmy Kimmel quipped Marjorie Taylor Greene isn't just the dumbest in Congress, she's defending the title with every word. Even her own people don't like her. Stephen Colbert added Crockett didn't throw a punch. She held up a mirror, and Greene shattered herself in it. The exchange wasn't just a meme. It was a reckoning. Greene, once a MAGA firebrand, became a symbol of distraction, called out by critics, quietly disowned by allies, and exposed as a liability no one wanted to defend. But the real damage wasn't the insult. It was Crockett's unrelenting focus on policy failures. She pivoted back undeterred. "This agenda attacks working-class Americans from start to finish. They told us they'd do this pretending they didn't know the playbook from the Heritage Foundation. All this talk of lowering costs is absolute BS. It's about weakening the federal government for personal gain, stealing your data, cutting your healthcare funding tax breaks for billionaires. Pro-disinformation, pro-obstruction, pro-greed, pro-exploitation. And somehow they call that patriotism." No one in the room denied it. They just sat pretending not to see the script they'd followed. Crockett's final jab cut deepest. "The reason people like me say y'all are in a cult is because you're abdicating your duties, ignoring the voters who put you here for loyalty to one man, Trump. America isn't falling apart because of enemies abroad. It's unraveling because of egos at home. Donald Trump, watching the footage from the White House, exploded. "What the hell is this circus?" he bellowed, pacing the Roosevelt room as the clip looped on mute. "Marjorie's making us look like idiots and Crockett's out there calling us a cult on live TV. Get her off that committee now." Brian Halford, already battered from the paternity scandal, tried to temper him. "Sir, removing Greene could alienate your base. She's still a symbol for many." Trump snarled, "A symbol of what? Losing she's a liability. And Crockett, someone shut her up before she says more about me." But the damage was spreading. Polls released that hour showed Trump's approval rating plunging to a term low, compounded by the paternity files, and now this public humiliation of his key ally. Headlines piled up, read aloud by Crockett in the hearing with clinical precision. Trump pivots to distractions as support collapses. Approval rating drops amid Iran bombing. New low during Israel-Iran war. Each one stung worse than the last. The public reaction was a fractured mirror of outrage and awe. In a Chicago barbershop, men passed phones showing the clash. Crockett didn't just win, she embarrassed MTG on a national stage. One laughed. Another shook his head. "Greene's a clown, but this distracts from real issues. Why ain't we talking jobs in a Miami high school?" students debated in a civics class. A junior said, "Crockett's right. It's a cult. They follow Trump like he's a god, not a president." Her classmate countered, "She's disrespectful. You don't call people's bodies butch in Congress, even as a comeback." The teacher sighed. "It's not about the insult. It's about who's fighting for us versus who's fighting for attention." Greene's missteps didn't end with insults. During the hearing, she displayed a doctored photo, alleging a witness subpoenaed over budget cuts made an obscene gesture when it was clearly two fingers. Crockett's ally, Representative Stanberry, called it out. "Point of order. That document misrepresents the witness. You're using subpoena power to mislead." Greene, gavel in hand, stumbled. "You're not recognized, Miss Stanberry. You're not." The room descended into chaos, the gavel banging uselessly. Online commentators mocked that gavel's gonna hit her head one day and make her smarter. Greene's reality-twisting performance, fake photos, procedural flubs, unraveled the last threads of her credibility. She walked out mid-hearing, visibly shaken as Crockett moved to subpoena Elon Musk over Doge cuts. "Why hasn't the man behind this been called?" Crockett demanded, slicing through the noise. It wasn't a question, it was a gauntlet. The clash shifted focus from Greene's outbursts to the deeper damage of the MAGA movement. Crockett's words echoed beyond the room. "People across the world email me, fearful of the lack of leadership here. We're stripping the country down. The damage, some visible, some silent, might be irreparable." Her diagnosis wasn't just of policy, it was of a myth collapsing. When she challenged MAGA supporters on Trump's policies, the blank stares spoke volumes. "What policies? I don't know. But he'll bring down the cost of eggs," she mimicked, letting the absurdity hang. It wasn't just failure, it was a machine running on slogans, not substance, and the cracks were glaring. For Trump, this was another blow atop the paternity scandal. Donors whispered about pulling support, fearing association with a movement looking more like a terrible nightmare, as Crockett called it. GOP strategists scrambled on private calls. "Greene's a sinking ship. We can't let her drag the midterms down with Trump's baggage." Meanwhile, Crockett's favorability climbed further, especially among younger voters who saw her as accountability incarnate. She didn't gloat over Greene's meltdown or Trump's plummeting polls. She returned to her bills, pushing for transparency and court interference, letting the viral moment fuel her cause without riding it for clout. As the shouting faded, one truth lingered: leadership isn't spectacle, it's service. Greene became the ignition point of backlash, her contradictions symbolizing a deeper issue: loyalty to a figure over duty to the public. Crockett, unflinching, exposed not just personal failings, but systemic rot. In a time of easy division and viral drama, her steady truth cut sharper than any insult. The MAGA stronghold wasn't just cracking, it was crumbling under its own weight, and Crockett stood at the center, not shouting, but refusing to flinch. The viral clash between Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett and Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene, MTG, wasn't just a fleeting moment of political theater. It became a catalyst that accelerated the unraveling of the MAGA stronghold. In the days following the hearing, the bleach-blonde, bad-built butch body exchange looped endlessly across social media, late-night shows, and even international news. But beyond the memes and mockery, it crystallized a deeper shift. The public wasn't just laughing at Greene's meltdown, they were questioning the entire foundation of a movement built on loyalty over substance. Crockett's steady, brutal honesty, paired with her earlier paternity revelations about Trump, had turned her into a lightning rod for accountability, while Greene became the face of a crumbling facade. Inside the White House, the atmosphere was a mix of desperation and denial. Trump, already battered by the paternity scandal's fallout, saw the Crockett-Greene debacle as a personal betrayal. Late into the night, he raged in the Situation Room, surrounded by a shrinking circle of advisors. "Marjorie's a disaster. She let that woman Crockett call us a cult on live TV and did nothing but throw insults," he barked, his voice hoarse from hours of shouting. Brian Halford, one of the last loyalists standing, tried to pivot. "Sir, we can spin this. Greene's base still loves her fire. We frame Crockett as divisive, unhinged." Trump cut him off, eyes blazing. "Unhinged. She's winning, every poll shows it. My numbers are in the gutter, term low. They're saying get Marjorie out of the spotlight before she tanks us further, and find me something on Crockett. I don't care what it takes." Halford nodded, but his hesitation spoke volumes. The machine that once steamrolled opposition was grinding to a halt, rusted by internal fractures and external truths. Greene, meanwhile, retreated to her office blinds, drawn phone off. The viral humiliation stung, but the whispers from her own party cut deeper. Anonymous leaks to conservative outlets suggested GOP leadership was reassessing her role on key committees. A close ally speaking off record to a Fox News producer muttered, "She's become a liability. Trump's furious donors are skittish, and she can't control a room anymore. We can't afford another circus." Greene, defiant, issued a late-night X post, "I won't back down to woke attacks. Crockett's a bully, and I'll keep fighting for real Americans." But the replies were brutal. Even MAGA diehards questioned her relevance. "MTG, you got owned. Focus on policy, not eyelashes," one top-liked comment read. Her echo chamber was cracking. Crockett, by contrast, didn't bask in the viral victory. She knew the personal jab at Greene, while satisfying, was a distraction from her mission. Back in her D.C. office, she met with her team to plot the next phase. "They'll come for me harder now," she told her chief of staff, her voice steady as steel. "Trump, Greene, the whole machine, they'll dig for dirt fabricate scandals. We stay focused. The bills on court transparency and sealed settlements are the fight. The paternity files, the budget cuts, the cult loyalty, it's all connected. We're exposing a system, not just a man." Her staff nodded, though worry lingered in their eyes. A junior aide hesitated, then spoke. "Congresswoman, threats are spiking. Online voicemails, some are violent. Should we increase security?" Crockett's gaze hardened. "I didn't sign up for safe. I signed up for right. Keep the lines open to Judge Vitelli and Genevieve Larson's lawyer. We protect our sources, and we keep pushing." The public's response evolved from shock to a polarized reckoning. In a small-town Texas diner, a heated debate unfolded over greasy plates of hash browns. A truck driver in a worn flannel growled, "Crockett's got guts, I'll give her that," calling out Trump's lies. "Greene's nonsense, she's saying what we're all thinking. MAGA's a mess." Across the booth, a woman in a Trump 2020 cap snapped back, "She's a disgrace. Dragging personal stuff into Congress, insulting Marjorie like that, it's cheap. She's tearing us apart for fame." The diner owner, wiping down the counter, muttered, "Don't matter who's right. We're all paying for their war, higher prices, less help. That's the real harm." The divide mirrored national sentiment. A Pew Research flash poll showed 54% viewed Crockett as brave but divisive, while 41% saw Greene as out of control but loyal. The rest undecided but exhausted. Urban centers leaned harder into Crockett's narrative. In Brooklyn, a street mural popped up overnight, a stylized portrait of Crockett holding a gavel captioned "Truth Burns." At a nearby community center, a town hall drew hundreds, many young and energized. A 22-year-old activist said, "She's not just fighting Trump or Greene, she's fighting for us healthcare, food, housing. That cult line, it's facts. They worship one guy over the Constitution." A middle-aged nurse nodded, adding, "But she's playing with fire. Personal attacks, even clever ones, make enemies. I hope she's ready for the backlash." The room buzzed with a mix of admiration and unease. Support for Crockett was growing, but so was the sense of impending chaos. Rural strongholds, Trump's traditional base, showed deeper fractures. In a Kentucky church basement, a Bible study group turned into a debate. A farmer, calloused, hands folded, said quietly, "I backed Trump for jobs, for values. But hiding a child's truth, dodging tests, letting Greene make us a joke, that ain't godly." "Crockett's harsh, but she's honest." His neighbor, a deacon, pushed back. "She's a liberal weapon. This is all to smear us, distract from their failures." "Greene's loud, sure, but she's ours." The pastor, usually neutral, sighed. Truth matters more than teams. If we can't face it, what are we teaching our kids? The room fell silent, a microcosm of a base wrestling with loyalty versus reality. Politically, the landscape was a minefield. Republican leaders already reeling from Trump's paternity scandal faced a dilemma with Greene. A closed-door meeting of House GOP brass leaked to Politico revealed a split. Some wanted her sidelined to minimize damage, while others argued she was still a rallying cry for the base. Speaker Greg Harlan, caught in the middle, issued another vague statement: "We stand for unity and principle, not personal conflicts. Let's refocus on American families." It landed like a wet rag. Neither side bought it. Meanwhile, Democrats capitalized. Senate Majority Leader Anita Torres pushed for hearings on DOGE budget cuts, echoing Crockett's call to subpoena Elon Musk. "If billionaires are dictating policy, we deserve answers," Torres declared on MSNBC, amplifying Crockett's momentum. For Genevieve Larson, the personal toll mounted. Hiding in El Sereno, she received a flood of messages, supportive letters, hateful threats, and media pleas for interviews. Paparazzi camped closer, one snapping a photo through her kitchen window before police intervened. Her lawyer, Harris Noland, urged relocation. "They'll find a way to break you, Genevieve." "A safe house temporarily," she cut him off, voice trembling but firm. "No, I ran once. I rebuilt my life. I won't let them chase me again. My statement stands. Let Crockett carry it from here." Her son, now a college junior, called daily worried. "Mom, I'm getting weird DMs. People asking about you, about me. Should I come home?" She swallowed hard. "Stay put. Focus on your finals. I've got this." But alone at night, staring at the red folder of court documents, doubt crept in. Had silence been safer after all? Judge Rosanna Vitelli faced her own storm in Phoenix. After testifying to Crockett's team about the sealed paternity file, her retirement plans were delayed by a subpoena to appear before the House Ethics Committee. Threats poured in, emails calling her a traitor, judge a brick through her office window with "sellout" scrawled on it. Yet she stood firm. "I buried that file under pressure in 2019, she told a local reporter, voice weathered but unyielding. "I won't bury my conscience now. If Trump's team used national security to hide a personal secret, that's not my shame. It's theirs." Her words, reprinted nationwide, added fuel to Crockett's push for court transparency laws. The tipping point came a week later, when Trump, cornered by cascading crises, announced a live address. Aides scrambled, fearing another unscripted disaster, but he insisted. "I'm taking this back," he growled, adjusting his tie in the East Room mirror. At 8 p.m. cameras rolled, his face lined and defiant filled screens across America. The fake news, the radical, left people like Crockett. "They're lying about me, my family, my movement. These personal attacks, these so-called files, are a witch hunt." And Marjorie Greene, "She's a fighter unlike the cowards trying to tear us down. We're still making America great, believe me." But the delivery faltered. His usual bravado sounded hollow. He dodged the paternity issue, ignored Greene's gaffes, and offered no policy defense. X lit up mid-speech. "He's got nothing, just denial. Where's the proof it's fake?" Don viewership dropped 30% before he finished, a stark contrast to Crockett's viral moments.